The day began with a shriek of sirens at 6 a.m. So shrill my rooster fainted in a feathered heap. I stumbled outside in pajamas, blinking into the flashing lights of 2 police cars parked at the end of my gravel driveway, their tires grinding with purpose. My heart jolted. Fire theft, a bear loose from the hills. But Sheriff Daniels came with a grimace caught between embarrassment and exasperation, scratching his neck. "She called 911 because you wouldn't sell your homestead for her daughter's wedding," he growled. I thought he was joking. He wasn't standing by the patrol car was Evelyn Harper, dressed in a peach blazer, pearls constricting her neck, her smile capable of curdling milk. I'd met her twice, both times against my will, when she appeared in front of me, greeting herself as president of the Pine Hollow HOA, a snooty subdivision a mile away that I had nothing to do with. She waved, like we'd been friends all our lives, then strode ahead with the attitude of a person who thought the world adjusted itself at her beck. Pointing at my wraparound porch, she said, "Here's where the floral arch goes, the lighting's divine. Don't you agree?" I gazed, wondering if she'd lost her mind or merely borrowed a broken one. She laughed, producing a folder from her bag full of glossy pictures and a wedding design that took over my whole preparatory space, designated ceremony lawn, my chicken coop reserved for guest parking. I glared at the sheriff. He let out the deep, small-town sigh of a man waiting out. "HOA foolishness turned emergency, ma'am," he said to Evelyn. "This is not a crime, it's a private residence and it's not for sale." She didn't flinch. Evelyn's voice rose just enough to make the deputies look up from their notepads. "I'm invoking Community Ordinance 52B," she stated, which permits temporary reassignment of non-compliant spaces for public good. The sheriff grumbled. "That's not an actual law." But Evelyn wasn't paying attention. She turned to me, her smile honeyed, and said, "You're just one person, you don't need all this space." With a bit of polish, this place could be enchanting. Something snapped within me. This wasn't merely about a wedding. It was about my great-grandfather's sweat in this earth, for generations of my family's blood and love. I explained to her, jaw clenched, that I was rebuilding this homestead room by room, growing tomatoes, operating a farm stand, living here every damn day. She waved me off like I was complaining, pointing to the hills. "You don't need all this. My daughter's wedding will be in Vogue bridal." It struck me then, this was about her curated fantasy, not money optics. She wanted my home as a rustic backdrop for her Pinterest empire, and she didn't mind if it meant wiping me out. The sheriff attempted to defuse the situation, asking Evelyn if she'd even speak to me first. "Well, no," she said, "but we're neighbors." I figured she'd be reasonable. Reasonable in her world meant surrender. I walked inside, heart hammering, and slammed the door as my rooster finally crowed, revived from his faint through the curtains. I saw Evelyn hand the sheriff a mint green envelope, chirping, "It's an invitation I figured we'd make up. It's a May wedding, and the spring scenery is ideal." When the police departed, I discovered a flyer taped to my gate, "Community Celebration Planning Meeting," my address. In bold, I ripped it down, shredded it, and stood in my yard, questioning what distorted reality I'd awakened into. Surely there were less complicated ways to rent a space than commandeering a stranger's house through 911, but this wasn't reason, it was control, and Evelyn had underestimated the woman who once fended off a raccoon with a fireplace poker while balancing a peach pie by noon. I was on the phone with the sheriff's office, the zoning board, and my Aunt Lorraine, a retired city councilwoman who could shred bureaucrats with a smile. I gathered deeds, surveys, and a log of every oddity from the past week, like the couple who drove by 5 times, snapping photos, pretending to be lost. This wasn't paranoia. Wedding invitations were already printing. Evelyn didn't only want my land, she wanted its history, the creaking porch, the white picket fence, the fog over the fields. To her, I was backdrop, not a person. She was going to be taught the difference between a homestead and a fortress. The following day, trouble came in khakis. A black sport utility vehicle rolled up, and 3 men spilled out, one with a clipboard, another with a measuring tape, the third in sunglasses that yelled midlife crisis. They referred to themselves as the Pine Hollow Planning Committee, here to evaluate transitional zoning compatibility. I told them to vacate before my goat, who despised clipboards, ruined their day. They skewered off, but I knew Evelyn wouldn't quit that night. I went to the Pine Hollow clubhouse for their HOA meeting. The beige building smell of overpriced coffee and laminated brochures. Everyone dressed in pastels. Someone gave me lemon water. Another thought I was lost when I told me she was there for the meeting. Whispers traveled like wildfire. Evelyn saw me and lit up like a Christmas tree, arms open. I had hoped you'd come. She cued. I didn't hug in return. She chattered about community outreach and event venue integration. But I interrupted. Sounds like wedding code. She laughed, calling me quaint. The meeting dragged on through mailbox violations until Evelyn revealed poster boards covered in my home-marked future ceremony platform and bridal path. My stomach turned over. She called me the current tenant. Like I was renting her imagination. A few nodded. The others appeared confused. An elderly woman asked if Evelyn had purchased the property we're in offers. Evelyn parried. I raised my hand. The room went still. I introduced myself as the owner. My family's legacy cut into every board and nail. I said the land was not for sale, rent or fantasy, and that her tricks were illegal. Whispers broke out. Evelyn flustered, shelved her plans for logistical reasons as folks departed. A young woman murmured, "You're not the first she's tried that with." She stated, Evelyn once swindled a widower hour into having a picnic, then attempted rezoning his property. He departed town that night. I lay awake. Evelyn's present tenant jab reminded me of how readily someone might be erased with enough self-assurance and paper. I spent the next day at the county recorder's office posting notices to reestablish my independent status. I sent Evelyn a certified copy. Her response, a red flyer on my mailbox preview party at the Homestead View. The wedding vision, I read it 3 times. Shocked she was unaware. No, then appeared a realtor with buyers who were lined up for a walk-through. My name was on his fraudulent listing, along with a photoshopped photo of my home captioned country chic, modern potential. He told me Evelyn referred him. I shut the door and called the sheriff. Whose side? She listed your house, didn't she? He promised to investigate for fraud. Hours later, a couple wandered my backyard, snapping photos. RVPing for an open house on a wedding site under Evelyn H. Events. I started the Evelyn files on my laptop, screenshots, videos. Every violation, I nailed a sign to my gate, private property. No trespassing, not a venue. Still, they came by taking brides' hybrid cars with out-of-state plates. One requested to view the bridal suite. I presented her the raccoon's attic, and then a delivery truck showed up with folding chairs and a gazebo for the rehearsal. The slip had my address signed by Evelyn, with a forged deed. I rejected the shipment and sent the fake document to my lawyer, who called livid. This is criminal fraud. We prepared a restraining order. But Evelyn upped the ante. A construction crew came to expand my gate for vendor trucks. I blocked them, threatening lawsuits that night. I fenced my property's edge, a line in the sand by morning. Someone spray-painted Sue on it. I repainted, added floodlights, and got an anonymous email. You could make this place beautiful. Why not let it be? Love attached was a mock-up of my backyard. As a wedding venue, I pinned it to my fridge, not out of sentiment, but as a reminder that charm is not consent. The final straw was when a truck parked a cathedral tent in my veggie patch. A sign reading reserved Harper wedding rehearsal. I faced the crew, who produced a contract with Evelyn's name as venue coordinator. I asked them to leave, threatening police. Then Evelyn showed up in a silk blouse, pointing out table placements as if she owned the joint. It's one day, she said. Relax and enjoy. I named her criminally insane. Her mask slipped. You're ruining my daughter's dream, she snapped. I started recording. She tried to swap my phone, screaming at the crew to keep going. I sent the video to the sheriff. 15 minutes later, 2 patrol cars arrived. The deputy, now a regular, confirmed a previous warning. The crew packed up Evelyn, fuming as her scheme unraveled that night. I posted the video online. HOA president stages wedding on my land without permission. It hit 300,000 views in a day. Comments raged from entitled to, "Is this legal?" My inbox overflowed with support. News outlets called for the footage. I said, "Tell the story right." Evelyn didn't fade quietly. She staged a press stunt outside my gate, reading a statement to a phone camera, claiming I was hostile, and doctored the video. The internet wasn't fooled. Stories poured in. Evelyn bullying a man over a gazebo, finding a non-HOA neighbor's mailbox. The Pine Hollow HOA downed her, claiming she did it alone. Then Diane, a former member of HOA, emailed me. Meeting notes jotted at the bottom. Buy homestead by summer, wedding is anchor. This was not a wedding, it was a land grab. Days later, another invitation arrived, gold foil stating my home as the venue. I laughed at the ridiculousness and filed charges, trespass, fraud, misrepresentation. My attorney sent a cease and desist. Then Evelyn's daughter Chloe showed up at my gate, all sunglasses and attitude. "You're ruining everything," she said. "It's too late to stop." I told her wedding wasn't my problem. She filmed me calling me cruel. I called the sheriff on speaker. She left spitting, "My family doesn't lose." The video hit national news. Homeowner battles HOA for her house petitions demanded HOA investigations the day before the rehearsal. My lawyer found Evelyn's attempt to file an easement across my backyard denied for fraud. We prepared for court. A news crew asked for my story. I told it raw. The homestead's history, the invasion, the theft disguised as dreams that night. A neighbor, Lillian, brought cookies saying, "Not everyone backed Evelyn." The rehearsal day was silent, no tents, no ambush. The sheriff said Evelyn tried moving it to the clubhouse, but an HOA tipster shut it down. She faced fraud charges. Now peace returned, but not for long. Evelyn sued me for defamation and interference. My lawyer called it a desperate stunt. We brought everything: flyers forged, deeds, videos. The easement attempt in court, Evelyn's lawyer portrayed her as a misunderstood visionary. Mine responded with facts, fake listings, trespass harassment vendors, attested to her lies, calling herself property manager. I took the stand, voice firm, declaring, "Evelyn treated me like a squatter in my own home, her charm a disguise for entitlement." Evelyn did not testify, her eyes blazed, but her smugness was absent. The judge, keen and no-nonsense, ruled in my favor, rejecting Evelyn's allegations, discovering her for fraud, and awarding me compensation. "Property isn't a set piece," she declared. "People aren't scenery." Evelyn went alone, head down. Weeks later, Jake, a war veteran, brought wildflowers and asked to get married in a small ceremony for his fiancée. No tents, no flash. Just love. I hesitated, then consented. Their simple wedding under the oak tree was everything. Evelyn's wasn't genuine, real. They left the land. Immaculate wildflowers bound to the gate one evening. Evelyn drove by, slow staring. I didn't flinch. I never saw her again. I pinned a photo of the field to my fridge. Not for sale, not ever. The homestead cax. The porch needs paint. But it stands because I stood for love, for roots, for the right to say no and mean.